after we get done because it's kind of random
Yep.
conversation stuff.
Fine.
We can sidebar that discussion. Hey, we are back again. We were off last week. We had some things happen, and that happens, and life happens. But we're back. We're happy to be back. It's so great to be back with my brothers as we talk about this bullshit market and people's bullshit attitudes. I kind of prefaced where my heart was at with a tweet or twat yesterday on the stock twats. I'm just tired of the shenanigans of people's attitudes out here in this world. Like, they called it, and then the market goes the other way, and then I called it. No, which one did you call? Did you call all of them? Did you call the one that finally worked out in your favor for 45 minutes during the week? Anyway, we're not here to make calls. We're here to tell you what we see and what we like and how we have perspective. This is not investment advice. We're not out here tooting our own horn. But anyway, that's where I wanted to start today's show. GP, how about you?
Where I get confused is we've been sideways for well over a year now, and you can argue that we've been sideways since 2020. And everyone's still counting on the macro breakdown for this market's new leg, right? Everything last year was, but technicals are breaking down, right? And so you should be shorting resistance, and yes, that worked. Yet in 2023, we have every time a technical play comes in, and granted, yes, some are just absolutely miserable. Like, if you're looking at semis this week, it went all the way back to the 20 week, and then closed right above the support again, right? Like, it's not fun by any means. This market is choppy. I'm not saying that, but what is the evidence telling you at this point? Yet you're still talking about, well, I think it's going to go to 4,300 or 4,500, and then we're going to get to 3,200. And literally, that is the conversation I still see amongst. I don't know if anyone actually thinks it can get past 4,300. So we're going to get, what, another 130 points up, and then all hell breaks loose. When has the market been that easy?
Well, I mean, I think 4,300 is kind of like a natural area that we could think of maybe some resistance or some pause, but like, do I think the market's just going to stop there forever? No. Do I think it's just going to hit that and be a brick wall? I don't know. I don't think so, but I see the 4,300 calls. And a matter of fact, I twatted that yesterday as like, I think 43, we should be up to 4,300, I would think. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't see it's over at 4,300, which we're a gnat's hair away from, honestly.
Dude, like, so we have how many different attempts at this level?
2.4% away, roughly.
Yeah, and how many attempts have we had at this level, right? And how long have we been basing?
Yeah.
My school of thought is, when you base this much and you test this high, when the breakout happens at 4,300, if it happens, that is, it's going to be powerful, right?
Yeah.
And that's just technical. If it isn't and it fails the next week, then you play it that way. But what is this conversation all year of, we're going to short it at 4,300? Yeah, dude, there's intraday shorts all the time. Literally, it's the market. But what is this? It's everyone sees the 4,300, and we're going to stop right there just because you're right.
Well, we've had this conversation a lot, and Nick, I want you to jump in too, but we've had this conversation a lot, is what's your time frame, right? Like, if you're playing 1 minute and 3 minute charts, then yeah, flip back and forth, be short, be long, do whatever makes you happy, right? But when you're looking at longer time frames, like, this doesn't seem like it's set up for imminent destruction, at least to me, Nick.
Yeah, no, I agree. I I guess I don't, I've been paying less and less attention to kind of the FinTwat universe as a whole, just because I found myself just largely getting upset really than anything. And it
Yes.
just, I'm like, dude, I can't keep reading this kind of shit. And all the like the analogies or the comparisons to this year and that year, like I'm in a position where I'm like, dude, I don't think we've ever seen anything like this. So like, I'm just going to let the price action tell me where we're going and play the patterns in the way that I think that we're going to go. I would agree. Like, I mean, I'm pretty fucking bulled up in terms of like, I think that we're heading back to highs. I think we're heading past 4,300 or whatever. I think we're heading back up closer to whatever that is, like 45 into like, I think we're going to test that area, like that whole zone of, I mean, I have the spies pulled up. So like, I'm thinking,
You want to share?
basically, sure. Let's see here.
I like when Nick's bulled up.
Unless it's gush.
Ah!
Yeah, right. So like, I mean, as like, I love talking measured moves, and just being that like, I think the market moves very symmetrically. So like, when we have a range, like let's say right here, I'm gonna measure kind of somewhere in there, because I'm under the belief that when this level gets taken out, we're gonna move the same distance from here to here, once we head out here. So like, I think we're largely heading into this 450, 470 area. To like the point of like, what we were just talking about, like, I'm not planning on shorting a high test. I'm going to take a lot of, like, if I'm in positions, I'm definitely going to be peeling a lot off going into strength and moving into these levels. But I mean, who are you to say like where we're at when we do test this? Like, why can't we just like hit that, pull in a little bit and continue higher? Or at the very, or like, again, like we could be in this range for a long ass time. We could easily go back up to highs, back down to lows, back up to highs. Like, you know what I'm saying? And these ranges are playable, especially if we're looking at like a weekly chart and we're talking about time frame here. Like, why in the F are you waiting until whatever 4,300 to like all of a sudden throw on a short? What are you doing in the what are you doing in the time between now and then? I think there's too many good looking setups out there to not be bullish.
Saying they're
Especially
making 500% intraday.
What's that?
They're saying they're making 500% intraday. That's what they're doing. No, I mean, you ask, what are you doing? Why are you waiting to short 4,300? Like, they're, like back to the FinTwat and the shit that you can't listen or are tired of listening to, right? Like, it's all time frame. Like, if
right.
I think one thing that we do right is we are pretty open about how we do things, and I see a lot of people just touting what they're doing one way or the other, but it's after the fact. Like, yeah, I'm short. Well, thanks, great.
Right.
What were you short, and how long were you short for?
For sure.
And I think that's the problem. That I shouldn't say problem. I think that's the difference between the way we do things and the way other people play a shell game.
I call bullshit. I call absolute bullshit, because I see people talking about being long stocks and then being like, in the same breath, being like, SPY's gonna hit 4,300 and then go to 3,200. So you can't be long stocks and then also think you're going to 3,200 without tons of freaking pain, right? Like,
right.
So to me, I call, like, yes, there's intraday traders. I'm not talking about those people. I'm actually talking about the people who are calling directional moves. And so, like, I think I've been talking about sideways market since April of last year, March of last year. And yeah, we've had a lot of destruction underneath, but the market's been relatively, it gets below and then gets bought up, gets below and gets bought up, gets below and gets bought up. And we just consolidated for 5, maybe 6 weeks in the Qs, and then we pushed higher. And so to me, I look at the spot. If you go back to the SPY here,
Weekly?
yeah. So what I see is if the SPY opens above 420, you have an island gap reversal here.
Say
Right?
that
Look
again?
at that massive gap down from mid-August to that week closed at 422 and opened at 417, and the high was 419.96 on the SPY there,
Oh.
right?
Sure.
So if we, right now futures are red, but if we manage tomorrow to open above the 417 level, that's above the gap, right?
Yeah.
And if we open above 420, it's above the gap and the high of that day, of the week, sorry. So you have a potential gap, island gap reversal setting up here too on the SPY. There's a lot of stuff that looks bullish to me. Yeah, I just don't see it at this point, and maybe that changes next week and we just die. Like I say every week, maybe this is the week that we die. But we haven't died yet. April spent the entire month in one of the tightest ranges that I've seen in a really long time.
And just look at the reversal of the semis, right? Like this last week's semis looked like they were going to shit, but they closed toward the high of the week. I mean, you got the SMH up there, Nick. Still, I mean, not the most fantastic look, but that strength coming off the bottom on Thursday, right. You were down at the low of the week to finish at the high of the week less than a session later.
Yeah, so look at the wick from 1031, right? Nick, on that SMH chart, it's a very similar wick. And then what did we do the next week?
Rip,
right? We went from we closed at 191, and then we went to 220 in 1 week. We had a 29% move in a 29-point move in SMH. I'm not saying that's going to happen here, but if you're looking at the charts underneath, if you're looking at NVDA, which is starting to break out after basically a month of consolidation, AMD had a bull flag pull in, right? And held the 20-day, right? 20 week, sorry. Once again, 20 week has continued to hold. You have a bull flag setting up off a monster move. Looks very similar to what NVIDIA did in early January, right? Pulled back-to-back weeks. It's, I think, a fib retracement and the 20 week. And then you saw what NVIDIA did, only 100% since then. So if you're looking at SMH, I get it. But if you're looking at the components underneath, look at Mu. The death stock looks like it's about to go bananas.
Yeah.
Yes, we can reject it, and I can be wrong tomorrow. I'm just saying right now, what looks great is a lot of stuff that's sitting underneath these indexes, right? Indices.
For sure. I think that it's normal too, like where we're at, whatever you want to call the cycle and wherever we're at. I think that it's really normal to, I mean, the IWM really doesn't look great, and I don't think that it should. I think that like we're kind of in a, I don't know, did we just start earnings season or wherever we're at in it? Like we should be seeing what we're seeing, where like good reports are being rewarded and other ones are getting obliterated. The ones that like, I think that one of the most bullish things that we can see are major gap down getting bought up. Because if we're going to see that, or we get gap and goes, I don't want to see gap up and then
Tesla.
Right. Like,
so IWM doesn't look bad to me, right? It is sitting in the breakaway gap for IWM. And if you look at the last 3 massive weekly sell-offs, the volume is lowering on IWM.
Yeah,
it's sitting in the breakaway gap from October 2020. It has now tested this zone one, two, three, four, 5 times, and it hasn't broken down, right? So
Right.
it to me, and then if you add in XLF is retesting a 13-year breakout and not breaking down, right?
Yeah.
Is it going higher right now? No, it will when it's already too late for everyone. Like I said, I still think it's a big old thievery on the banks, because dude, these are, anyway, you know how I feel about the banks, but
How do you feel about the banks?
I think these guys are trying to buy assets for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
That's literally, and they're a bunch of crooks, and they're trying to get these 10-year assets that are going to pay out full in maturity. I know duration risk and all that other stuff, but ultimately it's free money if they hold it for 10 years. They're trying to get it for pennies on the dollar, and they're doing it. Look at FRSC. There's multiple bids on FRSC, right? So they're gonna get it. Yeah. Anyway, but I don't think the IWM looks bad, right? I think it's
the only reason I said I didn't think it looks great is just being that like it's the weakest of the bunch, but I think that's just to be expected where we're at. Like if money is rotating, it's going to be rotating into like the strongest names out there, which is going to be like, that's why we've seen Apple, Google, etc. like doing well versus like small cap names. It's just my opinion. Once we see the Russell start to rip, I think you know that it's game on. Like it's game on. Start throwing your darts.
And XBI is already showing you the footsteps, right, in the snow.
Yeah.
It's already showing you that it had a false breakdown and it's starting to move higher. There's a lot of shaking in XBI, but it's getting ready, right? That spring setup, as least amount of people as possible participate. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff, and if all of that fails tomorrow, fine, I was wrong, and we'll reassess. But right now, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't indicate that all of a sudden 4,300 is going to. The narrative continues changing. Oh, wait till we get the earnings recession. Oh, we just had most of our mega caps and big companies report earnings, and it's not an earnings recession.
They don't come out and say we're going into a recession. They come out and say we were in a recession like 6 months ago or whatever.
And
right,
to be fair, they thought we were going into a recession at the end of 2021. So they were already prepping for a major slowdown, right? They started cutting jobs in 2020. I believe end of 2021 is when Amazon first announced cutting like 18,000 jobs or something like that. And yes, it's accelerated, but they're already prepped for the impending disaster. And once again, when you're prepped for the impending disaster, it's hard to actually have the disaster.
Nick hates Amazon though.
What's that?
Nick hates Amazon.
No, I don't hate it. I just I thought it was having problems with I thought 106 was a big level. Largely, I'll show you why. I was looking at this bar right here. I don't know why my volume's not showing up, but I was looking at this bar right here, which is basically 106. And I thought it was having problems getting into this bar. This is a high volume bar right here. So if price gets into here, I'm going to assume that price can pretty quickly get up to the high of that bar as well, which is kind of 130s. So I would assume that price is going to get back up to here. I like Amazon. I think it looks great, especially in this channel. It's just testing the high end of that range. And on Friday, again, it had problems with 106. Like if you look at like the 10-minute chart, you know, it sold off pretty hard first, I don't know, whatever it was, 10, 30 minutes of the day, and then it just couldn't get through the 106. So I was thinking that if for whatever reason it wanted to continue lower, I thought 101 would be a good place to take a stab. That or just wait until this channel gets broken and it like technically breaks out. So I like Amazon. I just was like, it's, you know, it's range bound until it's not. We didn't get the earnings pop in the way that at least I was kind of
It
hoping
did, but a
for.
lot of people sold it.
Well, yeah, right. We had the initial, but like, yeah, it didn't hold.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Okay,
We have like
so
1, 2, 3 major waves down. I don't know. I think that, yeah. I'm definitely in the bullish
there's
camp.
still a ton of stuff that looks like garbage, Nick. Like Square looks like garbage. Roku looks like garbage, right? Roku
Yeah.
looked great, and then for 3-4 straight weeks, it just died.
Yeah.
So there's still stuff. And why does Roku look like garbage? Because they still don't. They're not profitable. And in a regime shift of monetary policy, the free money has gone away. So if you continue to be unprofitable, you're going to continue to underperform the market.
Oh, for sure.
Right. So right now, what you're seeing is the profitable companies outperform the unprofitable companies, which is what you would expect when you're getting 5% in treasuries. Right.
Yeah.
And that's normal, right? Why would people put it into a unprofitable venture when they can just earn 5%?
Yeah.
And
I mean, they got to raise rates to slash them down the road. So,
well, we
Yeah.
got another Fed meeting coming up this month, and it's thought that they'll probably raise rates yet again.
I'm a little annoyed with, like, the Fed is, I think, doing a okay job in an impossible situation, right? But I also think that the way they used to talk about inflation being transitory, and now the way they talk about rates being higher for longer, I think the hyperbole that goes on with the Fed it's really dramatic, and there's no reason for our Fed to be dramatic. My personal opinion, just do what needs to happen, right? And
Yep.
and this is the same Fed that, even with inflation sky high in November 2021, they waited until March to raise rates. They didn't raise it in November. They didn't raise it in December. They didn't raise it in January, February. They raised it in March. And I think QT didn't start till April. So for these guys to be on their saddles about all this stuff is, I think it's disingenuous, and it's quite hyperbolic, and that stuff annoys me in general whenever people talk in hyperbole.
what do you like out there?
I like Mew for long
Yeah.
term here, right? Like, not for like a trade, but
Yeah.
this looks fantastic, right? But I'm not talking about 1 month out. I'm talking about a couple of years, like buy and hold. It's one of the cheaper semis here in the space. AMD, I think, looks pretty damn good too, right?
I agree.
What do you think? I don't even know why I'm bringing it up, but what do you think of the XLE? Like, I thought it was kind of interesting, just like how, I mean, XOM, I think looks better than almost anything else, but I meant to ask you about it. Didn't have a great close.
It didn't have a great close. I think what I don't if you're looking at oil has now made lower highs on the weekly 3 weeks in a row. I mean, lower lows on the weekly 3 weeks in a row. I think XLE has broken its correlation to oil personally, obviously, as we can
Sure.
see. But I still, it's still looking at the chart, I still see distribution on it personally. I'm not arguing that, but it refuses to break down. So there's no point of shorting this at the moment. It just filled the gap last week and then closed green anyway. And there's literally just no volume every time there's green. And it's how did Exxon do on earnings? I wasn't even paying attention.
I don't even know.
Yeah, so I think Exxon did okay on earnings.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things in XLE that's just waiting. I don't know. So if you think 3,200 is coming on the markets and we're going to go into an economic depression, but you're bullish XLE, I don't get you. I will never get
Sure.
you.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that too.
If you think 1929 is about to repeat, I don't get you. Just,
I was gonna say that I liked how the IBB held. So I was a little nervous, last week. I was like, shit, is this thing really gonna roll hard? I was surprised to see how well it held. Right, I was looking, I was watching the 200-day, 50 days kind of curling right there too, and I was like, man, it really held. And then obviously had a nice day on Friday. I threw some fibs on it just to kind of see where we're at. And I generally like to measure moves from like a higher low. So like I'll measure them from here versus like down here. And basically held that 50% or like the 0.618. For like, again, for measured move type traders, that's kind of all you're doing. That puts us back up to basically that 138, and it gets us kind of into a breakout.
yeah, it looks like it. I think Guild, as reliable as it is, shut the bed.
Yeah.
But it's not on a lot of volume. So
BIB was a big ripper last week.
But it's been stuck in a massive range forever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
So I have no desire to trade that one at all.
Yeah, it really has been, hasn't it?
It's not even fun. It's like Guild. It's really not fun to look at ever since the Hillary top.
Guild, the Widowmaker.
Yep.
Both VRTX and MR Moderna are reporting this week. I think Moderna's on Thursday. God, I really don't like how that looks. I think this kind of looks like a big ass, kind of like bear. I don't know.
But if the rest of the bio is going to go,
Typically what it looks like when your vaccine is not actually a vaccine.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to reserve judgment on Moderna. We've seen it look pretty awful and just reverse out of it. So, I mean, I'm not in it. I don't think it looks the greatest, but at the same time, like, I'm not saying all of a sudden it's going to lose 20% on an earnings call.
Yeah.
It could, but I don't. Again, we've seen it look bad in reverse, so we'll see.
It's a super low floater, so the moves are always exaggerated.
Yeah. And there's a ton of shorts in there, right? And we know it all. It takes just a little bit to squeeze, and all of a sudden you have a huge pop. But
I think
I forget that I'm sharing screen here.
Yeah, you're the one driving.
I'm just popping around.
Hey, believe me, I thank you I drive every week, so I'm glad somebody else took the wheel.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a chart scroller, so I'm always just kind of continually flipping charts, and whatever catches my eye.
Yeah, man, slow down. I can't keep up with you going back and forth between Melly and whatever else.
I mean, I'll drive if you want me to drive, Nick, but I'm
good. I mean, whatever. If you want to take it, you can take it. I'm just whatever.
Let's talk about for a second. Let's talk about something that keeps catching my eye.
Yeah.
Is the amount of things that are making all-time highs. McDonald's is one.
Yes. Starbucks is right there.
Chipotle is another one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hershey, HSY.
That's the weekly. Holy shit, that's the weekly on.
Chocolate. Look
Jesus.
at Pepsi. Look at PEP.
I mean, basically, yeah. Damn.
Look at PEP now.
P what?
PEP,
From
Pepsi.
Pepsi, the choice of the next generation or whatever.
Well, Monster, the last time I checked out Monster.
Broke out.
There we go. Broke
Yep.
out, yeah.
So
Damn.
let's talk Wing. Pull up Wing.
Wingstop. They got chicken sandwiches now.
Boom. So these guys, let's talk about these. These are all these retail food companies, right? They basically, in general, have gone back to their COGS, which is the cost of goods sold, back to pre-pandemic. Yet their prices are at post-pandemic levels. So what do you see in the chart? You're basically seeing them profiting like monkeys, like crazy off of us retail folks. And the charts are showing it. So chocolate, soda, burgers, burritos, wings. What else?
You know,
Guys,
I tell you, you know what I'm seeing up here in the Twin Cities is that they're remodeling a lot of like the fast food joints. Very few of them. So like Taco Bell's, for instance, you can't even sit inside. It's just straight drive-through. You can go
Look at
inside to like order.
Bring
but
up
it's
Yum
with-
Brands while you're talking about Taco Bell. My gosh.
Yeah.
So
Damn.
to me, fast food is not indicative of a recession, right? If you're in a recession, you're going to buy a bag of beans and a bag of rice, and you're going to eat salt and pepper beans and rice.
Yeah, you're living off ramen.
You're
Yeah.
not spending $15 at Taco Bell.
what I love is some of these restaurants who've done the ghost kitchens, right? Where they're cooking for a different brand that gets picked up by Grubhub or DoorDash or whoever. And it's coming from Chili's or it's coming from Applebee's or whomever, right? It's coming from those same kitchens. I think that's a fantastic business.
Yeah, and it started happening about a decade ago. It's been happening for a while now. I think it's more talked about. The ghost kitchens is basically just a bunch of guys working anywhere, creating one dish based on whatever the recipe is, and it's a central point of location. Yeah, it's a way to cut costs, and it's smart.
Yeah. On the flip side of this, the other sector that's making all-time highs is basically all of the like healthcare facilities, like gyms, like Lifetime Health. Duzio was talking about that one, but then you also have Planet Fitness. God, what are the other ones?
Dude, Planet's been stuck in a range for like 5 years.
I guess OSW maybe doesn't look as great, but kind of looks on the verge of kind of busting out of this range. Lifetime about to bust out. Planet Fitness, like you said, kind of in a range, but kind of working on a breakout here. As long as it takes out this pivot, that puts it over 100.
Booking.com.
Booking. Oh yeah, Booking looks great. You think Airbnb will you think Airbnb will what are your thoughts on Airbnb, I guess, before I
So I don't like IPOs in general until like
That's
2 to 3
right.
years have passed. Because IPOs is you buy you get sold on the hype, and then you got to figure out whether they're gonna actually do well. And especially the IPOs that came out in the last 5 years, they came in as like, oh, we make $3 million, we're gonna value it 200 billion, and we're gonna try to VC the crap out of this and the hype train and all that other stuff. Airbnb, Uber, Lyft, like all these things were part of the free money world. So are they profitable? I don't think they're profitable yet. And if they are, it's meager at the most. And their valuations are still sky high, right? Based on the fact that they're not profitable. So I think these companies are going to struggle until they can show proper EPS growth, right? Like it doesn't have to be monster, but to show that they're profitable quarter in and quarter out. One quarter's going to be the match that lights the fire, but they're going to have to show it in and out.
All right, we
So
got some questions here. Gaga Papa wants to know about NVIDIA. We talked about all the other semis, didn't talk about NVIDIA that much. And then MongoDB.
MDB, I shared the chart. Look at the accumulation on the month. It's
let's see, how do I add a indicator?
Pratt, what's up, Pratt? Pratt's in the house joining us. He wants to know about Baba and Coin. So there we go. We got 4.
okay. So look at the accumulation that's happening on MD. This is all happening under the 20-month moving average. I really like the way this is looking. They're a leader in their space.
So
So
flip over to the weekly in just a sec there, Nick.
On MDB?
Yeah.
Yeah.
breaking out of the range, based where based before. It looks great.
Cool. Yeah. Pretty low risk spot here too. I mean,
Yeah, you got to define stop there too, right? Like if it if
Yeah.
it breaks below the range, you cut bait.
for sure.
The pivot that it needs to take out is at 248.15 level on the upside for more upside. And I think if it breaks below, honestly, you can keep a really tight range here. So if it does go back below, like right under 237.
Yeah,
Because
I'd say
it could
it's,
easily fall back to the bottom of that range, which is around 202, and you'll save yourself $35, right? So
for sure.
the risk to reward is very nice here. You can wait for the breakout, or you can buy the bottom of the range, or you can buy here with a really $2 1% stop, right? 2% stop.
Yeah. I'd be looking at like, you know, price climbing into this bar. So my first area of interest would kind of be in this 350. Although measured move wise on a longer time frame, you're talking here. If I'm only talking, you know, as far
You're
as
only
like,
talking a double.
yeah, right. I'm looking at basically here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got the breakout. As long as that pushes, I'm gonna assume that price is ultimately heading back up to kind of here. It's just kind of how I would look at it.
Who likes 100% move? Nobody.
Yeah,
And it's a
right.
low floater, right? So when this moves, it moves hard both ways.
I thought all of the crypto stuff was actually kind of starting to look good.
Well, coin's separating itself, right?
Yeah.
From the crypto bunch, coin is weaker than.
Yeah.
It's not participating. It's getting sold on every possible. Bitcoin will drop like $100. Coin will drop like 3%.
Yeah, I made a pretty decent trade off of the past week's high, but yeah, it doesn't look great here in my opinion. It could turn around tomorrow, right? Like these are things that we don't know. We can just give you an estimate on what we think the chart looks like, but it looks like it. Yeah, Nick marked it right. It looks like it wants to test the low end of that range. But
MicroStrategy looks better.
Yeah, both Riot and Mara too.
Yeah, this is what strength looks like, right? So
yeah,
it's pushing towards the top of the range. It's flagging. So coin right now is diverging from its counterparts. So I would personally stay away from it. And yes, it can change tomorrow, Bags.
Well, but I mean,
I think the Wells notice is it's got a negative connotation for them, right?
So just the way I look at it, right, is if you're playing the upside by the strength, don't buy the laggard. If you're playing to the downside, play the downside on the laggard, right?
Yeah,
Because
right.
it's already weaker.
Yeah.
Strength and weakness is weakness. Play them to their benefit and don't try to play, in my opinion, right? Don't try to play the laggard to the upside. There can be a catch-up trade there, but for the most part,
I always get smoked when I try to play a trade, thinking that it's gonna like, yeah.
No,
I'm with
there's
you,
a reason
thanks.
it's weak, right, Nick?
Yeah.
It's weak because it's got some impending thing that we don't know about versus the other ones, right? The MicroStrategy is basically
Bitcoin.
tracking
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin at a discount of 10% or something like that, right?
Well, and there was also speculation that Coinbase might even move offshore, which would be crazy, right? Like that. What does that mean for investors if they decide they want to be outside the United States? So we'll see how all that goes. But yeah, I think again we've already kind of covered it. Like it's the weakest of the bunch right now.
Yep. Baba does not look great.
NVIDIA we liked. We're going to break the range, right? Like it's a month tight.
What was that?
NVIDIA.
God, that I think it looks
But
so
it's holding
freaking
that
good.
break. What I would say about this entire month is it literally held that breakaway gap from 2021. That is the same area that we rejected in 2022 hard, right? And we've now spent 6 weeks in that breakaway gap, and we haven't died. So this has all-time highs written all over it to me.
Yeah.
Yep. Just consolidating before the move. And last one was Baba.
Gosh, China they're not doing well, but
Yeah.
that's accumulation on that chart. So at some point, Bubba will move. The question is when, why, who, what, where. I'm assuming their reopening is not going well. So at some point, they'll start throwing more stimulus at their economy, which should help move it up. Don't know when or how that will be.
You could argue it really needs to work in the putting in a higher low or holding this kind of higher low. It kind
It's
of
holding
like,
the 61 retracement, right? So it
Yeah.
came back and held the 61 retracement, bounced hard, which was a really nice trade, and then came back and retested that. And we're still holding it literally almost to the penny. So it's bullish, but don't know when bullish. So
I'd say wait for it to clear 100,
yeah.
or like that's what I'd be looking for, I guess.
Yeah, we liked it for a trade previously, right? And I just think it's for me, Baba's too hard to hold on to for any period of time. It's like just take your gains and walk away and then reevaluate. And just to me, it's a trade, not necessarily investment. I know other people are going to disagree with that, but I just can't be involved when on a sneeze, it can do what it did there. Anyway.
Better looking
all
charts
of
out
them?
there.
That's all in the chat. Yeah.
Look at SAIA.
What is that?
Oh yeah. Hell
What
yeah.
is that?
It
What
is the
SAIA?
7th largest holding of the IWM.
But what is the company?
I have no clue.
You're gonna have to make me hit up the Google machine here.
No clue.
Transport.
I just saw the weekly bar.
SAIA Freight. They're a transport company.
Okay.
Drivers.
Highest close in a year and a half.
Houma, Louisiana's own.
Looks like a cup and handle breakout potentially.
I don't know how you say it, but that's actually someone's last name.
Crocs, another one.
What is it?
Crocs. CROX.
Oh, Crocs. Yeah.
You guys remember the movie Idiocracy?
Yes, of course.
Crocs were the futuristic shoes that everyone wore in Idiocracy. And now yeah, really. And now we're all wearing them like they're fashion. No, it's because we've devolved into the Idiocracy.
Nice.
So, other
We
one,
weren't-
cost.
that?
Costco looks.
We've talked about the old Costco. I'm telling you, that just keeps getting tighter and tighter, tight like Nat Booty.
Yeah, it's like they're almost waiting because they know that the membership increase is coming at some point. Some new additions to the S&P off the SVB, PODD. And BG. the other one.
Eswar says, can we please check now and spot? Yes, we can, Eswar.
I liked now actually.
Yeah, I did too.
Now looks great.
Yeah, it does.
I love
It didn't look so good like 2 days ago, but
No, it didn't, but hey, neither did Simmy's, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I think you just got to pay attention to basically the 200-day there, which it obviously held last week on Thursday.
Boing.
If it loses the 200-day, then you're just basically assuming it's going to head back to lows. So,
But all these charts seem
Or draw a trend from those two lows, Nick. No, from the lowest low to the next
This
low.
one?
Yeah, there you go.
like down to there.
No, I would take it further. Yeah, I would look at if it breaks the 200, you're looking somewhere around there, right?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
so a lot of these charts look like they're buying time for the news to get more positive, right? The macro news, that's what it seems
Yeah.
like. And so they're just sideways and whatever that macro news is. Maybe the war ends. Maybe the Fed pauses and they're front running it. But it looks like a lot of charts are basing and building and getting ready for
Spot has been on a fantastic run. I'm kind of mad at myself for not playing it.
Yeah, I am too, honestly. Because I, as far as the product goes, I fucking love it, and I literally listen to it all day, every day. You know.
Yeah.
So.
I've never used Spotify.
We're an Apple Music household.
Okay. I mean, I create all of like my yoga playlists on there, my workout. I mean, it's obviously the same thing as Apple Music, but yeah, I don't know. I love Spotify. I think if we get
Here's a fun
opportunity-
fact. I was
Yeah.
doing some digging. Did you know 291 of the 503 S&P companies are green for the year?
Wow.
That total weighting of those 291 companies is 71%.
Damn.
The biggest losers are tickers that were already removed, like SIVB and SBNY, but FRC sits at the bottom, which was now also be removed. And it's a lot of regional financial banks that sit at the bottom of that list. There's only 19 stocks that are down 20%. One that caught my eye was PFE. Pfizer. What happened to this? Because I don't pay attention to this at all because it does nothing for the most part. It just started breaking down.
That looks like some distribution.
Yeah. So look how long Pfizer distribution took, right? So this is how I see XLV, XLE, XLU personally, but the other one was I think CVS.
CVS.
Yep.
Ooh.
More distribution and then beat down.
I don't.
You know what
don't know.
looked good was Boston Scientific.
Ranveer wants Netflix. He knows that at some point before we get off this call that GP's going to talk about Netflix. We haven't talked about oil today. We haven't talked about well, you did talk about the XLE for a brief second, Nick, but yeah.
Can we talk about how gold is crappy?
Thing.
Can we just talk about how we should wait for the gold breakout?
Bring on the gold discussion, because every time we bring gold, it's like the freaking algos know who to serve it up to, and we get like record views. Gold sucks. Nobody likes gold.
My stance will remain on gold after looking at 40 years of history. Wait for the damn breakout. Maybe you don't catch the 1,500 to 3,000 move, but at least you'll catch it without any headaches.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Netflix for Ranveer.
I will let you two talk about Netflix. I will not.
Looks head and shouldery. It looks like it's going to break down and go to zero. Whenever I say something's going to zero, it's a joke.
On the day trade side of things last week. In terms of like short term, I think it's like kind of heading into like the 330s to 3. What did I think?
It's in 330. It's 329.93.
329. Yeah, I was shooting for 333 to 340 is kind of where I thought the measured move was going to be. On a longer term, I think it's kind of making like a bit of a cup and handle.
It's holding all of the weekly EMAs. It's doing what you want to see. It's digesting those gains, ready to make its next move.
Yeah.
I think weekly flag. It is a miserable trader in general, but it's a weekly flag. It's still in the big red cloud, and it's a flat top cloud. So my views on Netflix is it's still. I think the red flat top cloud ends at the end of this week or the next week, and then I think you'll see better moves out of Netflix. But Netflix never moves outside of earnings week. It literally just destroys your soul for the other 11 weeks.
It just destroys your soul.
You can go back to history, right? Like if you look at weekly bars on Netflix, every big weekly move up or down is an earnings report. Everything
for sure
is just chop. I think there was one 6-month period where it broke out of earnings and then never stopped until the next earnings. I think that was 2014 after the Flickster debacle.
I like it.
Sure.
It's an ascending triangle to me, right? So
yeah,
it's at the bottom of the ascending triangle. It should move up to the top. Question is, will it have it? The financials, like the fundamentals, are actually getting better and better, and the price has remained at the same price for 6 years.
Aren't they getting ready to do the password sharing thing?
I think they've already started.
Pretty soon, or is that? Oh, okay.
But their EPS is like 5 or 6 times what it was in 2017 or 18, and the price is exactly the same.
We haven't done what we like, what we don't like. I mean, we kind of done the whole episode's kind of been what we like and don't like in regards to FinTwat and charts we like to look at.
Yeah, my favorite out there is ANET.
ANET.
Yeah, I think
Arista Networks.
I liked how it held the 50-day and the 10-week, and I think it's kind of just putting in a bull flag. So if you're not long either on the breakout or reverse the 50-day, you know, you got the breakout of this kind of channel to play. So ANET's kind of my favorite out there.
Oh, okay. That's a name that we haven't really discussed in the past from you, Nicholas. So I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. GP.
What don't I like? I
Either way you want to go. I don't care.
Uh, I don't. There's a lot of stuff that I like. I don't like Target.
You never like Target. You break my heart with the Target hate.
So for all of what retail is doing, if you see McDonald's, Hershey's, all those names that we just discussed earlier.
Yeah, especially considering Walmart and how Walmart looks versus Target.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Target's the laggard. Target's the laggard for sure.
So it's charts, right? Nothing personal, Bags.
No, it's always personal when you talk about my favorites.
I love shopping at Target too, but it's just not getting any respect right now.
No, it's not that I love. Sorry, I got to cut you off. It's not that I don't like shopping there. I just know how much of the Bag's discretionary money goes to Target because I have this thing, right? Like, I know what my wife spends money on, and for the most part, she has been a great investor for me, whether it's Ulta or MasterCard or Starbucks,
Yeah.
TJ Maxx, and now Target. Actually, TJ Maxx looks pretty good. Sorry,
But I agree.
Get off my chest. Go ahead on your Target hate.
No, like I met my wife in 2007, 2008, and she had a Lululemon bag at the time, and I wasn't into the markets at the time, but then I got into the markets post the crash, right, 2009, and it was one of those. It's the same concept. Is like she loved Lulu at the time, and I think at the time it was only really in New York in 2008, 9, and they were expensive. So I was like, oh, there's no way this is gonna last this recession, right? We had the global financial crisis.
Yeah.
And shit you not. We know what Lulu's done since then, right? And I think it was around like
Rocket Ship Moon Boy.
It split, but back then I think it was like $20 something or something like that.
Lululemon.
Yeah, I agree that wives shopping is really clutch. I think Target for me is more of a it continues to reject the horizontal pivot and the trend line at the same time. There's a lot of volume coming out of Target. And it's consistently making like higher lows, right? So there's a lot of stuff that's kind of suspect. So Target's not one I like.
Not one you like.
No.
One that what do you want? You want one I like or one I don't like?
One you like.
You want to like?
Okay.
All right. Oh, one of each. We'll just go one of each. I really think that I hate to say the name because it's been on just such an awesome run. First Solar finally broke down, right?
It did not.
Well, it had an ugly week.
Correct.
I kind of like it. I kind of like it. So I think that was I think that might be a place to, not quite yet, but almost time to get interested back in First Solar. It's just had a monster run, and I think that it's still got more to go in the future. So I kind of like First Solar. One that I don't like, and this really probably isn't going to be a surprise. I've liked Okta for a long time, and it just looks like Okta, OKTA.
Yeah.
Cybersecurity has been looking really good until the past week or so. And I think this one might be kind of the loser in the bunch. And I've really liked it in the past, but I kind of think that it's got some more downside to go. So there you go. One I like and one I don't like. I like First Solar and I don't like Okta. I could totally be wrong on both of these, but that's just my
First Solar is nice. It held the trend line. It filled the gap. It did all the things that you want to see.
Yeah, I shouldn't have said it broke down. It sold off.
Yeah.
And it should. It's been on a fucking epic run. I think I might be interested if it gives a retest of that 170 area. Might not happen, but if it does, I might re-engage. There you go.
So one I do like, if this is what's happening, which I think is just as a sector in general, is SMH, if it's putting in that retest of the Adam and Eve bottom breakout retest is what we had this last week, the last couple of weeks. I think it's on for a pretty decent full cycle from here.
Yeah.
So Mu, at Broadcom, NVDA, AMD. Unfortunately, GFS does not look great. It's AVGO, AVGO.
Oh, that's right. That is right.
Look at Lam Research as well. All these look
Yeah.
all of these look like they're ready to party, right?
I mean,
So-
I can't say that I like semis all the time. I could say that every week. You guys know how I feel about the semiconductors. I'll throw one more else out there, Nick.
Oh.
If you can pull up the chart on Qualcomm, it looks really symmetrical there from its lows. Nice bounce off of it. You can almost draw a perfect trend line from there. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. Check back perfectly into that lower trend.
It did. You know, it's another one that's weirdly strong that hasn't been
Casinos.
Mickey.
Yeah, Disney gave you a chance under 100.
Ah,
So yeah, this is like that. I wasn't expecting that strength from Disney, so it caught my eye and something to pay attention to. It's been basically sideways since May of 2022.
yeah. I was gonna
Shop
say,
looks good too. Shop looks good.
Disney gave you 3 weeks tight, Nick. If you pull that back real quick,
which one?
Disney gave you actually 4 weeks tight.
Oh yeah, right there at the 50 day, 200 day, and the damn.
Yep.
3WT.
So and the last time we had 3WT was June, and it went from a 95 close to 123 in the next 4 weeks. June of 2022, you saw those 3 weeks tight there,
I'll put that on the
and
radio.
then it took
Yeah.
off. So
Yeah.
one to pay attention to as well. I noticed that strength that I was not expecting. T-Doc still looks like garbage.
Yep.
I was gonna say, DraftKings was looking pretty good to me.
Cookie likes to call it Drunken Kings.
Donkey Kong.
I think it looks like a big old cup and handle.
Yeah, I do too.
I like that.
Gosh, I can't stand SPACs though. They trade so miserably.
Win not as good as I thought it looked.
Look at
Win
them,
has been
Jim.
range bound for 20 years.
Look
Yeah.
at
High
them.
80s, you sell 110.
Yeah, totally.
MGM.
MGM. Ooh. And we're going into what about the recession? Like,
We love to gamble. We love to
Gambles and
gamble.
burgers.
0 DTE. Let's go.
right on. Right on.
You know what looks good also?
What's that?
Some old school tech stocks. Intel.
Another
INTC.
SMH name. One of the largest spots in the SMH.
Yep. And the other one is Cisco.
God, I haven't looked at Cisco, and like this is one of the ones with like, so I think it was like Cisco, RIM, Research in Motion, and
Yes.
God, what was the other one? There was like another CLAC were like the three stocks that like I kind of can't say that I learned to day trade, but like those were the three that like I day traded all the time. like way back when.
They used to move like crazy, especially research and motion. So, but like the Cisco, if you go back to Cisco for a second,
Yeah.
if you draw the trend line from the March 2020 lows to the next low that came in, it's basically
Oh yeah.
testing. Woo. No, if you draw, I do it from the bottom, but anyway,
Like here?
Yeah, it basically, so I do the bottom point, right? Not the bar, but I do the actual.
Oh, sure.
Right from there, and then if you go up to the next bottom point, yep, there you go. So it's tried to break that trend line a bunch of times, and this time it hit it bang on, and then had a nice green candle. So I'm not saying this is a great one to trade, but it's stuff to look at in terms of.
But that giant head and shoulders.
But it's also like a 32-year cup and handle.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Whenever I throw my voice, you know I'm being facetious.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and like ultimately they're a profitable company. They have a decent dividend. So it becomes most likely they're not going to get smoked out, right? So it becomes a safety trade, right? So they're basically, the multiple starts to expand.
Let's go.
So yeah, I thought this was intriguing to see old school tech also finding some decent levels of support.
We've done our time for the evening.
Perfect.
Hey, thanks to everybody for joining us again. We really love it when we have a lot of people in the YouTubes chatting with us. So we really appreciate that. As always, I appreciate my two counterparts, my two homies. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Bags, for always hosting.
Well, Nick did all the driving tonight. I felt like I did a part-time job tonight, it feels like. So I appreciate that. And hey, I wish everyone